Well, this has been my most anticipated kit release of 2024. I've been waiting decades for this kit to come out. There's loads of Pumas hitting the market right now, but this is the one I'm interested in. Let's take a look. Welcome to Model Kit Stuff, where you'll find all of this. Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. Yes, first impressions of this brand new Puma kit from Miniart in 1:35 scale. Why, with so many Pumas around, is this the one that I'm really interested in? When you could get the 1:16 one from Das Work, you could get the venerable 1:35 one from Tamiya. They also do one in 1:48. There's new releases from Rifle Model and also from Italeri. So why am I interested in this one? Well, this one has got everything in the box, full interior. They are also releasing at the same time a Puma version that doesn't have all its guts in, so you can build the outside of it if you want and save yourself a little bit of money if you're not up for all the detail work. This one though has everything, a complete interior, engine and everything else that goes inside. And why have I been looking forward to it? Well, because I know how well Miniart do their interior kits, and I fell in love with the Puma core back in the early 80s, possibly even the late 70s, when I first built the 176 Matchbox Puma, which has subsequently been re-released, and you can see it knocking around from Revell as a diorama, and the vehicle really captured my imagination as a kid because it was 8 wheels, it's got all the funky angles on it, and it's sort of like a tank, but it's not a tank, and it's like an armoured car, but it's not an armoured car. So it really captured my imagination, and I've wanted to build a decent sized Puma with full interior and go to town on it ever since. And actually, I've only ever built the Matchbox one. I've built that now a couple of times, so I am well ready to receive this beauty today. So I'm recording this on the 8th of July. It's been in the shops a couple of days. My provider's been a bit slow in getting me the pre-order. And we're going to have a look at this, and we're going to deep dive through the instructions, through the kit parts, and see exactly what you get. So without further ado, let's start by looking at the box. And the first thing that draws your attention is this beautiful bit of artwork on the front here. So this is depicting a vehicle in 1945 in Poland, and you can see it's camouflage with a winter camouflage over the top, and obviously it is broken down or something to that effect, and it's set in a winter backdrop. So you've got a wet slushy road and light snow and what have you. So really nice a bit of artwork that captures the imagination. Tells us that it's 135, tells us we've got a full interior, and that we've got an Sd.Kfz 234/2 that everyone knows as a Puma, and it invites you into what you're going to get in the kit with all these open storage areas and the full engine exposed. Really, really nice. It's the kit number is 35414, and if we look on the side, we can see the different paint options that we're going to get. So we've got 6 here. Sometimes they have more in the book. We'll have a look in a minute. But what have we got? We've got Germany Summer 44, Normandy Summer 44, France summer 44, Eastern Front summer 44, Poland winter 45, which is the one we were just looking at on the box art, and this one, which is Czechoslovakia spring 1945, in the very late war overall green that the German army was moving to. Also tells us that we've got cartograph decals, which is really nice. They've moved away from their decals that used to be manufactured in the Ukraine. We all know that cartograph is the benchmark really for decals. And then on the ends we've got the same information that we've got on the top of the box, so nothing new there. And then we have the information in various different languages and their address, and tells us it's 2024 copyright. Now this is a complete new tool, just launched, it's not a re-release. So yeah, very, very excited to have a look in this. So the box itself, you do have to be careful with Miniart boxes. The bottom, the base section, it's a top opening box, which we like, but the base section is corrugated, but the top, I just want to show you this, the top of the box is really, really thin and flimsy, and you can already see, and this has just arrived in the shipper, but you can already see we've got creases in it. So these boxes do not stack well in your stash, they do not keep well. They're too flimsy for me. A lot of people buy kits and then put them into storage before they get to build them, and the manufacturers are not considering that, and it's one area Miniart needs to improve on. So inside the box, and the box is fairly deep, we have one whopping great lump of plastic parts, all piled in on top of each other. Not a fan of that, so we're going to discard this bag and repack it as we go through this. We can see that we've got photo-etch, a larger envelope than usual, so that means we've got some larger photo-etch. We've got clear parts and decals all in one bag. Doesn't seem to be any damage to the decals, but that is not uncommon with Miniart kits either. And I can already see some interesting things looking through the bag, but I won't get ahead of myself, so I'll put that to one side and we'll have a look at our instructions first. Okay, so our usual format instruction, colour instruction manual, A4 stapled from Miniart. It gives us, I always think it's a little bit weird. They give us this nice sort of picture here, and then they give us a sort of a technical drawing, and it gives you quite a nice feeling that you're going to do a proper builder's model. But then they give you all this information that they don't actually put on the outside of the box. This is something you've already bought into it at this point, so why they put it here and not on the box, I don't know. But highly detailed plastic model kit, photo etch parts, full interior accurately represented, which is reassuring. Clear plastic parts, all hatches can be assembled in open or closed position. All hatches, that's good. Metal surfaces and weld lines accurately represented in the model. Decal sheet for 6 options. Excellent. So then, as we would normally find in Miniart instructions, we go to some of the paint options. So paint guide 1, as we know, Germany summer 44, and that's what I'd call a standard wartime camouflage scheme for the Wehrmacht, with our red, brown, green on overall yellow camouflage system. Then we've got Normandy 44, where we've got a much more intense, clearly sprayed on pattern. And you've got to remember that these were often done in the field, so you can pretty much do any variety you want, but they do give us a little close up there to show you what that should be like. So little overlapping painting, and it's also showing us where to put some of the decals as well. There won't be too many decals on this, I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, and then we're into our sprue map. So we've got a little caution note at the top, and then about using glue and paint and what have you. And then we can see our sprues. So we've got, let's see, we've got our photo-etch parts, we've got our Decals sheet, we've got our clear parts, and then we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 23 different sprues. A lot of them very small, but it's still quite a lot of sprues, isn't it? And then as we turn back to this page here, we've got our little key that we'll be using as we head through the instructions of the manual. So all fairly familiar. Scratch building, bending, anneal or heat, remove, open a hole. They never give you the hole size though. Option, do not glue, and make multiples of. So let's crack on with that. So step one, and what we can see immediately is we've got nice clear line drawings. They're not colour, but they are nice and clear and well spaced out. So we've got, within step one, we've got these sub-assemblies, and they're giving them a letter so that we can see where they get used later on after being built up. So sub-assembly B, we make 2 of those, and you can see that being applied there and there. So we're building up the lower part of the bodywork in this first stage, and we've got some of those mechanical parts going in right from the off. So there's also paint instructions as we go. So 3 I just happen to know is gunmetal. So then we build up the lower part of the side pieces, and it's all being held together by this one section at the back. So it's quite often Miniart kits can be a little bit flimsy at this stage, and until you've got a bit more of the structure in. So you do have to be a little bit careful. But yeah, that all looks okay so far. All makes sense. Then we're putting that first sub-assembly onto here, putting the other end in. So that is your 2-part lower hull. So that's really nice to see that you've got all that going in. That's an opening there by the looks of it. So what we built up in here is going to be seen, although these parts here aren't going to be seen particularly, but they look really authentic with having the openings in and what have you. And we've got another sub-assembly there, number 5, which I don't know quite what that is. I'm trying to see where that goes. There's another one there. I don't know if they're internal or external or what they are. I'm sure we'll find out. But we're building up all sorts of bits and pieces now that go inside, so we can see pedals, covers for things like the transmission and bits and pieces like that, I reckon. So you've got pedals at either end. Was this vehicle? Yeah, we've got 2 lots of steering wheel. You could drive it from either side. That makes the interior nice and interesting as well, doesn't it? Lots of little holes to be drilled out, and then we're building up what looks like the radio set. We've got batteries being assembled and then put on a shelf that's stuck inside. We've got the steering column going in, and then I guess they call it a secondary steering column, don't know. That makes it really easy for reversing, doesn't it? Then we've got shells going in. I think that's a sub-assembly from the first page. Seats being made, and it looks like we've got all the springs in the back, which is nice. Gas mask canister, all sorts of little brackets going in as you work along. We've got some internal pipe work from the battery. So electrical cable coils coming out of the batteries. So that's really nice. Radio set going in, some more controls, so gears and four-wheel drive controls and what have you. More ammunition stowage going in. So you can have a closed variant or an open variant option. I'd be surprised if anyone puts a cover over that. Why would you? Then we've got bulkheads and bulkhead supports going in. We're building up the bulkhead section here with the firewall. We've got the grill in there, so lots of detail. Not quite sure what. Oh, right, it's the engine block we're building up. So V engines. I don't know if it's one or two. I'm guessing it's just one at this sort of size vehicle. Yeah, lots of pipework going on, lots of individual parts, as Miniart do. Manifold going on. Got some cooling fans going in as well, and various bits on there. So that'll be nice and detailed. And we do have different colours being shouted out, so it should look fairly colourful. Right, then we've got an option for advanced modelers where they're giving you the scratch build instructions for the cables for the engine. So you can cable it or not as your heart desires. So we've got a build section down there for the engine with fan belts going on and what have you. And then on this side, you've got all the pipework being added if you wish to. Then another ammunition stowage box after we've installed the engine. So that's really nice. I mean, a lot of this you won't see once the engine's in. But if you wanted to do it with, with the engine on an A-frame lifted out, you could see all that as well, which would be nice. Then we've got some more scratch building pipework to go in. And again, another ammunition box. It says closed variant or open variant. So basically you've got shutters on there that can half open and then fully open. So you could do it either way. I think having it sort of half folded up and the lid over the top might look quite cool. Makes it look used. Yeah, and then we've got what I'm guessing are the fuel tanks going in. Is that what we built up earlier? 5 and 9, yes, I think it is. Then we've got the hatches for getting in and out of the vehicle for the driver and what have you. Not sure how many people were in this vehicle. Then we're adding the hatch. It's not talking about open or closed, but you can. Don't know if there was some locking mechanism to hold it up or what. What's it saying? Closed version, open version. So it has it sticking out at a 90 degrees angle, but what's holding that up at there? I think a little bit of research on that. Then we're building up the inside of the upper body section. So we've got some dials going in, some pipework, gas mask, some interior plating which will give us some detail. Building up the vision ports and the hatch lids and some box. So only included in colour variant 3 or 4. So depends on what variant you're building, whether you're including that or not. I nearly missed that. More detail going on the inside. I mean, very little of this you'll see, but if you've got the vision ports open and you shine a torch in, you might. All very nice though. Building up the vents so you can have them also open and closed, which is interesting. So if you're doing the one in the winter camouflage, you do it closed. If you're doing one in the summer, you might well do them open. So again, think about which paint version you're doing before you decide on open or closed. You're going to like the look of open more, but you've got to go with what your paint scheme is. It's unlikely they'll be open in the winter. So yeah, okay. And then that's going in, and then the main bodywork's going on top of that. So yeah, we're at there, step 49, but there's a number of sub-assemblies. So realistically, you can it's probably half as much again. Then only for the open hatch version. I mean, they look like smoke discharges, so I'm not sure what they are. But yeah, if you're having the hatch closed, you don't need to put them on, which probably means the hatch won't close with them on. But obviously they should be in there. If you've got the hatch open, they would be visible. So all sorts of hatches and vision blocks going on now. Then we're flipping it underneath, and we're starting to build up the suspension. All sorts of little bits and pieces being built up, multiple parts to make one small part, I'm guessing. I mean, look at that leaf spring suspension. Usually it's one single part with a lot of heavy seam you have to scrape off. This is 4 parts. Doubt we'll be exempt from doing scraping of seams though. Then we're building up the wheel mounts. Okay, so because you've got 8 wheels, you've got a few of those, so a little bit of repetitive work. Some variants for different colours again. Then we're building up the jerry cans, the standard way that Miniart do it, with a bit of photo-etch. We've got photo-etch racks for them to be mounted in. They'll look really nice when done. Then you're repeating on this side. We've got some bracketry going on. We've got the mount for the spare wheel at the back going on. Building up the exhaust silencers there, the jack. So once we've done all that, we're then putting the side piece on. So you might want to paint especially if you're airbrushing, airbrush the lower bit before you put that on, and then paint the upper bit afterwards. I suspect might be the way to go. You've got open and closed options on all of these. You really need to understand what's stowed in those. Was there standard stuff? I mean, like toolbox would only fit in that, or maybe that. So what was it? Was it rope or hooks or tools, or what's in there? So be worth understanding that, so you can populate it with some of your odds and bits and pieces that you've saved from other models over the time. Then you've got 2 variants of wheels. So you've got a 2 halves or multiple layers. Multiple layers is the way to go. The tread looks so good on those. And then we're putting the spare wheel on. Then we've got stowage boxes going on, fire extinguisher, mounting the exhaust silencers, width markers, ammunition box, light ammunition box, various tools, more stowage, your jerry cans, front bumper, more jerry cans, wing mirrors, building up another spare wheel. Oh no, that's building up the actual wheels. Right, okay, so 8 of those. So yeah, when we saw that, it was for the spare wheel earlier only, whereas this is now for the main wheels. We're building up the aerial antenna, which has photo-etch spreader on the top. That'll all look nice. Yeah, so you put that delicate thing on and then you turn it upside down, don't you? Of course you do. I think that will be the last thing I put on the aerial. Then you put the wheels on. Right, then we're on to the turret. So step 79 starts building the breech, the internal parts of the gun, mounting in the machine gun there. I mean, that's several parts as a sub-assembly. You've got the spent cartridge bag going in, which is nice to see, often omitted. Then we've got things like the vents, electrical junction boxes and stuff going into the hull. All sorts of little storage boxes, building up the seats. Looks like, we've got a nice set of headphones with a photo-etch headband. More little boxes, electrical units, a radio, I think. Traversing gear, another radio antenna, bringing this together. I mean, look at how complex the hatch is. Lovely, or maybe a nightmare, depending on how you view it. But lots being built into there, so you can have it open and see all the detail. Then we're building up the gun. Looks like a single piece muzzle end, and it looks like a single piece barrel as well. Oh no, the muzzle is made up of 3 parts. How did I miss that? Then we've got some photo etch going on for mounting the smoke discharges, and then we've got the tip of the machine gun going into the mantlet there. So gun smoke discharges, lifting hooks, then finally the shell bag being slung underneath the gun before we mount our turret on at step 98. So you know, you're easily on about 130 steps there with all the sub-assemblies, easily, maybe more. Then we've got our colour chart here. They're giving you Vallejo, Mr. Colour, AK Real Colour, Mission Models, Ammo MiG, and Tamiya, and then they tell you the names down the bottom there as well. So all very nice. Then we have our last paint options. So France Summer 44, green on yellow. Eastern Front Summer 44, another what I call traditional red, brown, green on yellow camouflage. And then we've got this, is it the final one? No. We've got the Poland Winter 45 one, which I really do like, the stripy one. It's pretty cool, that. Something very different to, you know, how many times can you do that? And allows you, when you put a whitewash on, it allows you to do so much with the weathering. That'll look cool. It's probably the way I'll go, but I'm also quite drawn to this Czechoslovakia Spring 45 close of the war green one. Yeah, I could easily get into that. It's got some nice decals on that one as well. Yeah, don't know, but that is our instructions done. Okay, so let's have a look at our decals now, cartograph decals, and I said they've not been damaged, but actually it's quite creased this. Let's see if I can catch that on the camera. Can you see there how creased that is? And those depressions, that's caused by the ejector pins on the clear parts. So I wish they'd stop putting the decals in with the clear parts. It's a stupid thing to do. They really want to put them in the inside of the instruction manual. You know, that can't be any more difficult than putting it in that bag with the clear parts. So I do wish they'd stop it. So Miniart, I know you're not listening, but just in case you are, stop doing that. It's silly. Right, I don't think I have any damage that's actually going to cause damage to the decals, but I won't know till I try to use them. So they're the cartograph, and we know that they're going to be really nice, and there is almost no decal margin, although actually there is. They're not quite as crisp as Airfix ones, even though they're cartograph as well. They've got a little margin, and yeah, I mean the register's good, and they're nice and vibrant, you know, and certainly the decal margin is nowhere near excessive, not remotely, but they're not quite as good as I'd see from Airfix. Can't put my finger on it. I almost think that the register's slightly out, but at the same time I think it's just my imagination. Don't know. But we've got some nice decals. Where we've got numbers, they're all joined together, so you get the spacing correct, and national markings and what have you. So, and a number of different number plates. So you've got some decent decals there to go in your spares as well, which is always handy. Yeah, some little manufacturing plates and what have you. All very nice. There you go, that wasn't difficult, was it? So our photo etch now, and actually there's not that much. In fact, you know, all of these and that is the jerry cans. So if you take the jerry cans out of it, we've got some little brackets, we've got some parts for tool brackets, and we've got the mounts for the smoke discharges, and then the antenna spreader array, and one handle. So not much. So all the finesse of this kit is coming into the plastic. Isn't that lovely? It does have the film on. Those of you that know me in the channel know I'm not a fan, you know, but it's, you know, lots of people now do it. So right, let's start our plastic with the clear parts, as I needed to get them open to get the decals out, so they're right to hand. What we can see is we've got lots of little blocks, vision blocks, all of which have sinking. All of those there across there have sinking. These ones here appear to be okay. Not quite sure what that is. But yeah, bizarrely, that is bizarre. The two optical ends of this, so this is a periscope, and the two optical ends are the ends with the sprue gates on. Seems a bit odd, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, they're nice and clear. The lamp lenses have got texturing on, so that's really nicely done. Those headlamps are gorgeous. See if I can show you those. And you see they've got patterns on the inside. Really, really nicely done. Very, very fine mould in that. These big thick blocks here also have some sinking. So yeah, you may want to skin it with a bit of crystal clear or something, see if you can level it, or it might not be noticeable when you come to build it. There you go, those are our clear parts. Right, plastic parts, I'm going to do them in the order I need to repack them, and we'll take some photographs and show you some close-ups at the end of reviewing all the sprue. So let's begin with sprue M. And we've got a lot of the engine parts on here. You can see transmission casings, the fans, yeah, all sorts of bits, but I think all of this is engine. Those are fuel tanks, some pipe work. So this seems to be nicely grouped together. It's very nice and crisp. Really lovely detail on there. Some of these parts might be suspension. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's mainly engine. Even the fan belt's not too bad. I mean, I quite often would remove a fan belt and replace it with a bit of masking tape, but they're not too bad. Still think they're a bit on the thick side. But yeah, lots and lots of lovely detail, nice and crisp. I'm not seeing any issues. No flash, no sink. The fans here are not solid, so you can see through those. Don't know if that's coming up on camera or not. You see, you can see through that if I put my finger halfway across. Yeah, so they've managed to open them up at the back, just about. So very nicely done, really lovely. So we have 4 sprue Ds, which are covering off 2 sets of wheels per sprue. So you can see we've got the back wheel there, then we've got the sandwich pieces that go in the middle till we get to the front bit of the wheel there, and they're really nicely done. You've got bolt heads on, you've got sidewall writing on the tyres, really nicely done. The tread, which looks really good, and we know, you just know when it goes together it'll be splendid. And you've got the same sidewall writing on the back of the tyre as well. So if the tyre's visible from the back of the tyre's visible at one edge, you'll be able to see that writing. So it's really nice attention to detail, and it's lovely and crisply moulded. Sprue CA, we have 2 of these, and we've got all sorts of tiny small parts a lot of them for the suspension by the looks of them. We got the fire extinguisher there and some little things like lids and stuff like that. I mean, tiny stuff. We've also got the headlamps here and the shovel. So yeah, and one of the driving position seats, which has got nice springs on the back. You can just see that in the light. There is no obvious texturing on the seats. Whether we'll see some when we prime it, possibly, but I don't think there is. I think they're just fairly even. There's a little bit of seam in places, which is not unusual for Miniart stuff. So a lot of very fiddly clean up. Try and clean these parts up as best I can on the sprue before I start removing them. But yeah, lots of little parts, some really delicate parts, and we do have sink in that bit there, so that's what a vision block. So the back of the vision block's got some sink in it there, but as that's a flat smooth piece, it's easy to fill and sort. So yeah, all in all, very nice, no real issues. Sprue FA deals with the jerry cans. We have 2 on here, but we have 3 of these sprues, so we've got 6 in total, and they're nicely done. We've got all the writing embossed into the one side as it should be. We've got nicely crisply molded handles, although there is 4 sprue gates on the handles. So you've got this sort of double fork thing here, which they're never that easy to get off. I don't like them really. Airfix has started doing them recently, I've noticed. And then you've got these right here on the delicate handle bit, so the cleanup will be very delicate. And then you've got the spout and lid that you then put on as a separate part. And of course we've got some photo etch to sit in the middle there. So yeah, nothing wrong with that. Very nice actually. Sprue QA, and these are all storage boxes. I think most of these for inside the vehicle. But yeah, again, nicely done. We've got some delicate handles printed in there, so really nicely molded. No issues with the molding again, so yeah, very nice. Sprue QB now, these all appear to be parts for the inside of the turret. So we've got winding mechanism, we've got ventilation fan, we've got the loudspeaker thing there. So the parts all seem to be grouped on the sprue depending on what part of the model you're working on. So yeah, really nice. No issues with any of these parts. There is some really fiddly little bits to do though, as is Miniart's way. Some very fiddly stuff to do, but really nicely done. I'm loving the texturing on the microphone and the fan. Very nice. Sprue Q, and we've got what looks to me like a couple of radio sets. So and then I'm guessing these are the bits that build the boxes up, and then we've got what look like some electrical junction boxes. So again, all stuff for the interior of the vehicle. Right, this is Sprue A, and these big sprues are pretty much the full length of the box that they come in. And here you can see we're dealing with the body panels really. So we've got this small lower section which we start building right at the start of the build, which has got all the sort of little removable plates molded in with fastener detail, which is nice. We've got some ejector pin marks that might be visible. We'll have to see when we come to mount some of the equipment in. Remember, this section here will be visible from this hole through here, which is the rear of the vehicle where the engine's mounted. And we can see we've got the engine mounts there, and we've got some bits built in. We've got some nice texturing of the floor. These are all raised. So you can see we've got some nice raised texturing there, anti-slip texturing. And we can see the foundations for some of the other things that are going to go on there. Various different panels, some of them internal, most of them not. We've got the top plate, the engine plate there, which can be opened up, of course, and various little doors there, yeah, with detail on the back, which is really nice. A little bit of seam cleanup on them, but nothing major. Then we've got our vents, open and closed. So you can see open there. So even if you want it shut, you'll be able to look in. And if you've got a torch, you'll be able to shine a light in and see it. They do need a little bit of cleanup on the inside, not because they're flashy, but there's just a little bit of a little moulding lump in there that needs to come out. Or you've got the closed version with the slats closed, and you've got some hefty ejector pin marks in there, but they're really designed for if you want these things closed, whereas you've got a little bit of sink on the open ones, which probably won't be seen when they're glued in. So all good there. There's interior detail on some of these, which is very nice and sharp, as you'd expect from Miniart. Some fastener heads. The outside is really lovely, with nice sharp detail on there and lovely welding detail around the edges. Really, really nice. Yeah, this is turning out to not be disappointing. This really nice. Yeah. Sprue DA, and these are all suspension parts, and you wouldn't be surprised to hear that we have 4 of these. So we're clearly dealing with 2 sets of suspension per sprue. And we've got this lovely detailed leaf spring here, which is nicely done. Of course, there is a seam to sort, there always is. And then we've got the little drive shafts there with rubber covers on, and actually nice little rubber stops on the spring suspension as well. Really nicely detailed fastener heads, and then all these linkages are pretty good. Bit of seam clean up, but actually not too bad. I've certainly seen worse on Miniart kits. This is quite a nice one in terms of cleanup work. There's not so much. Got some hubs there with the hub centers there. They look nice. I imagine that's accurate enough to be able to have the wheel off and be doing a wheel change or something like that, and show it with the wheel off, and that would look pretty cool. Yeah, no issues with this sprue. All nice, very, very crisply moulded. All looks good. Right, sprue N, and this is dealing again with interior parts, mainly the driver's positions, but some other bits and pieces around it. So we've got the 2 different steering wheel types there. We've got the batteries, gas mask canisters, which are really lovely in their detail. They're perhaps some of the best canisters I've ever seen. We've got this little head pad for the driver there, which does show the texturing in the cushioning, so that's really nice. Lots of little levers and bits and pieces. We've got some gussets there, so lots of little bits and pieces, and some interior paneling, all very nice. Even where we've got going to put the decals, they're not overly done. Sometimes the bezels are really, massive, and they'd be about that thick on the real thing if you scaled it up. But these are nice and subtle, but still clearly there. So if you wanted to paint them, it would still be possible. And then some of our individual pedals. So yeah, lots and lots of details. We've got some, I'm guessing it's fuse boxes, and we've got wiring coming out of the fuse boxes. Really nice, and again, lovely and crisp with no moulding issues at all. Very, very nice. Sprue P now, and much to my surprise, we've got some textured seats. I'm not sure if they're the actual seat or the back. So maybe the seats we've seen so far, these stick onto, and so you've got some texturing. So by the look of the sag, I think these are seat backs. Look very nicely done though, and they are both different, which pleases me no end. We've got electrical fuse boxes, distribution boxes, storage boxes. We've got the machine gun ammunition bag there for the spent cartridges. Looks really nice with the texturing. A few levers and bits and pieces. The shell capturing bag for the main gun. The only thing that's a bit of an issue on this one is this here. So you can see how that one is sitting proud almost at 90 degrees, and that's pushed down. That's clearly, there's been a sprue on top that's been pushed in when they've heat sealed it, and it's caused a little bit of damage to the surface. So when we take that off, we're going to have to do some filling and sanding to get that right. But that's the only damage so far. You don't get a Miniart kit which doesn't have damage, unfortunately, just because of the way they pack it. They're not the best at packing kits, definitely, because you can see scuffs and scratches on it and all sorts, but won't be noticeable when painted up. So yeah, again, all interior parts by the looks of it. Sprue NA now, and we've got the two side pieces which go on towards the end, which have our storage boxes in, and they've done this really nicely. You've got one half of the hinge moulded in, you've got some fastener detail, and then the other half of the hinge is moulded into the actual door, along with handles and padlocks. And then here we've got the actual storage boxes as well, so you can paint them, the inside of them, on the sprue and put them in. Although, word of warning, there is ejector pins in the bottom of those, so you're probably best cutting a bit of plastic card and covering that up, to be honest. That would be your best way. Trying to fill that would be a nightmare because they are sunken ones. And then you've got inside detail, so basically pressed metal plate, which has the depression for the handles, and then a back to cover the mechanism. So really nice. Whether you have it open or closed, should look really, really good. Yeah, very, and again, no issues, so perfect. Right, sprue C, and we've got sort of external parts now, I guess. You've got various tools and things that are going to go on the outside. We do have some radio or electrical equipment of some type and some boxes. We've got the silencers for the exhaust system here, the front and rear mudguards, and we've got the parts for the jack, the horn, some parts that actually go in the inside right at the start. The exhaust pipes, the ends of the exhaust pipes are not hollowed out, which is a bit disappointing, that they're solid, especially as they're right next to some slide moulding to put the perforations on the top of the gun. So, you know, there was nothing stopping them changing the orientation of that and making the slide mould to a bit longer and putting the hole in. So that's a pity, but it's the only criticism I've had so far, so good going. Yeah, very nice. Sprue B, and again we've got stuff that's mainly for the outside but not all. So we've got some internal bulkheads there, sort of support ribs, and bits and pieces like that. And then we've got tools, we've got some of the outside panelling. We've got the spare wheel, we'll come back to that in a sec. We've got the front bumper, which does unfortunately have a whopping great sinkhole in it, just there. Yeah, then we've got some really nicely done tow hooks. They're lovely. And shell ammunition storage. And then we've got these two options of tyres, and I hadn't appreciated this at the point where we were reading this in the instructions, but you've got this one that builds up like the road wheels. But then you've got this two halves that you can do for the spare wheel as well, but it's a different tread. Has different. It's a different brand, so it's not Decals, it's Continental. So that sort of shows a vehicle that's been in service. It's got a different brand of tyre on it. So I quite like that. The fact that you can mix that up with a different tyre. That's really nice thinking. Yeah, I could be tempted to do that. And I don't think you're going to lose anything because the tread is more radial anyway. So yeah, not a problem, I don't think. Yeah, I quite like that idea of having a mismatched tyre. It just adds a little bit of interest to it, doesn't it? Yeah, very nice. We've got little radio antennas, which are really lovely, although trying to clean them up and get them off could be interesting. But yeah, another nice sprue. Right, sprue L, and we've got the turret here. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Here we've got some smaller parts, latches, lifting hooks, various bits and pieces. We've got the muzzle brake, which is slide moulded, which is nice. And then we've got our smoke dischargers, which includes two that have been used. So that's pretty cool as well. So we've got options there. We've got the main gun barrel, which actually it does have a seam, but it's not too heavy, so easy clean up there. We've got some internal parts of the hatches there, which again have nice texturing on. The machine gun, and we can see we've got some of that internal detail there as well, and a lot of mounting points for stuff to go into the turret. But the turret is exquisite. I'm not sure that it'll turn up on camera. No, it's not going to. But it will do on the photographs, I promise you. Not only has it got really nice welding, which is not overdone, quite often it's a bit too heavy, and you think, well, that welder needs dismissing. But this is really nicely done. It's very subtle. It's not too bulgy. It's just really nice. I like it. Now, this turret would have been made out of rolled steel sheet, especially if it's armour plate. It would have been rolled. And I used to work in the steel industry, so I've seen this. When it's rolled, you get these little sort of witnesses in the material. So they have got those in, and they run in that direction along the sides of the turret, and then at the back they run in that direction as well. I don't think that's accidental. I think that's deliberate, and it's really, really subtle. And you can't make it out, but you will see it on the photograph, so look out for it. We've got the teeth of the turning ring here visible, and we've got some really nice texturing on the gun mantle here to look like a casting. Possibly slightly overdone, but not by much. It's very authentic looking. As a rough casting as they were, yeah, not so bad. The sprue, I'm not sure if that's come away or is designed to stop there. Not sure, but I think that the sprue gate didn't form properly on that one. But yeah, no issues though. Lovely and crisp, really, really nice. And we've only got one left to look at. So E is our last sprue, and it contains the upper body section, which has all been moulded into one piece. And you get a real understanding of the size of this now. So fairly big as a vehicle, but actually not that big. And it makes you wonder where all of those parts we've just seen are gonna go. I'm not sure I could cram them all in if I tried. So I will be following those instructions carefully. That is a lot of parts to cram into a vehicle this size. This though, it seems to be nicely done. There's a little bit of rough moulding at the back end possibly, I think. Feels a little bit rough, a little bit tidy up needed. There is a bit of sink just here. You can just see that in the light, a little pinprick, which is been drawn from that on the inside. There's some nice welding seams on here. Again, really subtle. Will show up under a wash, but they're not overt. So I like that. And you can see where the plates have been put on and welded in. Really, really nicely done. Yeah. All of the sprue gates are actually on an edge you're going to glue. So the side of those, the side pieces go onto that edge there. So that's really nice. And then here it does the same. It goes underneath and lands on your gluing surface. Although it doesn't appear to do that at the front, which is a shame. Clearly couldn't work that out because of the slight slopey angle. There's a little bit of detail on the inside, some ring detail, and some fastener detail, but it's mainly drilling points and bits and pieces like that. We do have some ejector pins, but they're all going to be hidden, so we don't need to worry about any of that. So there you have it. Let's sum up, shall we? Right then, my job is to try and not be biased and be very objective when I am doing a first impressions and looking at a kit and working out what's good and what's bad. So it would be easy for me to wax lyrical about this because it's a subject matter that really interests me and I've been looking forward to it. But to help me in that process, we'll just go through it. So packaging, okay. This time we haven't had any damaged parts, but that's a rarity in a Miniart kit, I find. I've had more kits that have damage than kits that don't. And that's because, especially the big kits, now actually some of the sprues were separate, were in a separate single bag inside the bigger bag. So about 4 of them all sandwiched together, but they seem to be crushing them together and then sealing them up, I guess, so they don't move, but they appear to be doing some damage in that process. So you can never really give Miniart the best score for packaging. The top of the box is very flimsy. You put it in your stash, you put something else on top of it, and if that box is a bit smaller, it starts sinking in. So yeah, packaging could be better. I like what they do with the photo etch in the little card envelope. It's a little bit of overkill actually, but they could put the decals in there, and I think I've said that before, or in the instructions. I hate the fact that they put the decals in with the clear plastic parts. I have never had decals from Miniart that didn't have some form of surface damage. So why they persist in doing it, I do not know. They need to stop and change what they're doing with that. There isn't a kit manufacturer out there that can't improve what it's doing, and Miniart are no exception to that. So those are areas they could definitely improve on the packaging. So I would like to see it done slightly differently so you've got less risk of damage of your parts. Right then, that said, the instructions, lovely, clear. The build process, it makes lots and lots of sense. I wasn't looking at it thinking, oh, I wouldn't do it in that sequence, I wouldn't do it in that sequence. Sub-assemblies are built immediately before you use them, so that's perfect for me. And you could go and say, right, I'm going to start the turret first and do that. That would be possible, and you could decide I'm going to build the tyres and wheels and get them out of the way first. That would be possible. But in the main, the build sequence makes sense. And when you've got so many parts, so many parts, you'd be a very confident modeler to build it out of sequence, I think. But yeah, really clear. Give you a paint instruction as you go, give you a decals instructions as you go, and then lots of paint options, 6 paint options, and then cartograph decals to go on those paint options. All good, all brilliant. So yeah, then we get to the plastic parts themselves. The biggest issue was with the clear parts, where we had some sink, but in fairness, these are vision blocks and they're going to be difficult to see any of that glass. You could do with putting some clear green over it if you want a really authentic look. It was a toughened glass which had a green hue, so you'd want to emulate that with a sort of what's the colour? A translucent lime is the best way I could describe it. But yeah, really nice. The plastic parts themselves, really crisp in their moulding, lots and lots of detail. Lots of thought about the engineering of it and how to pull it together. I think we had all those little round lumps, which I assume are storage racks for the shells for the main gun, and they had completely smooth flat ends, and it would have been nice for them to have maybe tried to put some detail into there, or maybe put some photo etch ends that you could glue on. That would have also been nice, but yeah. And then of course you've got the photo etch itself, which isn't overdone. It lends itself to the areas where you need it, but without being overly intrusive. And I think most builders wouldn't struggle with the level of photo etch in here. So when you pull all of that together, I have no real issues. And now I can wax lyrical. It's a Puma, and I have been looking forward to a decent Puma kit for so very, very, very long, and I finally have it. I have to say, this is in my top 2 kits of the year so far this year. I'm not going to tell you which one the other one is. That's for another video on another day, towards the end of the year, no doubt. But yeah, if like me, you're very excited and want to start building it straight away, which I do, and I'm not going to, I would advise you to sit and wait. Firstly, there is no way Eduard are going to ignore this, so there will be some additional photo etch details to come out, which might help with some of the fittings on the outside of the tank, and maybe might deal with the wiring on the engine for us, save us having to scratch build it. So it's worth waiting to see what Eduard do, but I wouldn't go and get resin wheels for it, because the plastic wheels provided are more than adequate. Yeah, but I also think it's likely that Miniart will come along and release a set of figures, maybe some mechanics, which might give us some stuff for the toolbox, for these open areas, like a toolbox. So, you know, and maybe some crew figures. I would be really surprised if they didn't follow on in a month or so. So maybe build it, but don't commit it to a diorama until you've waited a few months to see what Miniart do with it. But I'd be very, very surprised if there wasn't more coming out to support this kit in a diorama setting in the near future. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit on my hands for now, but I really, really want to have a look at building this in the not too distant future. So there's a waiting game here. It's just how long I can hold on. Who knows? I might just have to buy 2. Yeah, that was a really, really lovely kit, and yeah, I can't see any reason why anybody wouldn't want to buy into that. It's something different. It's not a tank. It's not a truck. It's just, there's loads to go at. I think it's a beautiful model, and I can't wait to get stuck in. So there you go. If you were wondering about all the Pumas, because there is lots of them come out, there's the Das Works one. Yeah, it's big, but it's not as detailed a build as this. And then you've got, the Tamiya ones, certainly the 135 one's a bit long in the tooth, and the Italeri one, it won't build up like the Miniart one. For me, Miniart is the way to go if you want to build a 1:35 scale Puma. Be interested to see if someone disagrees, but yeah, for me, that's the kit to go for. Right, thank you very much. You now know what's in the box. If you enjoyed that, you can consider making a small donation to the channel so I can buy more new kits to review as they come out. You can see a link to my PayPal. 100% of everything you donate goes straight into the channel. Right, without further ado, you enjoy your modelling, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and that way you won't miss my first impressions, my tool reviews, my product reviews, and any of my builds, including wooden model kits as well as plastic. It's all free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.